Hi folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. One thing I wanted to mention this week, because again, it's something we can sort of ruminate over, we can think about through the winter, is how do you get a fish out of the water and into your hands or into the boat? And, a lot of people use a net, and that's probably the best way there could possibly be. But in most types of competitive fishing, nets aren't allowed. And also, a lot of times, if we're just wandering down a stream or fishing, we don't have a net with us, or maybe we've been taught, no, a net isn't sporting. But a net is the best way to get it out of the water without harming it. The second thing is how we grab a fish. If we've got it right into us and we grab it. In the past, you always saw people reaching down and grabbing a fish by the jaw. Now, you don't do that with a muskie or a walleye or a northern pike. They have teeth that are so sharp, they're going to lacerate your skin. But still, that was the way to do it. But as soon as a fish feels that resistance on its mouth, it tends to cause them to do all kinds of things, start shaking and twisting, and they have a lot more strength than you might think. You put your fingers into a fish that's even 2 pounds or more, and they're going to have a lot more strength than you'll ever imagine. A lot of times they'll break your grip. You'll notice now there's a difference taking place. People will tend to grab a fish, or not even grab it. They'll put their hand under the fish while it's still in the water. And you can watch the pros do that on any of these fishing shows. You can see now that's a high priority. They got to get that fish out of the water and into the boat, and hopefully without hurting it. So how did they do that the best? Because we're talking money now. Every fish that they get in can mean money to their family and them. So you'll see now they put their hand under the fish in the water, cradle it in their hand, just like you would a loaf of bread or something, and then lift it out of the water. And then once they get it out, they can push it to their body to secure it or whatever they want to do. But that's critical, because a fish won't react the same if you lay your hand under it than if you grab it by the jaw. It usually becomes very docile and will allow you to pick it up. I have no clue why, but you'll see that over and over. But then there's different species. You're not going to do that with a big pike or a muskie or something like that. And each one is a bit different in how you grab it. I will tell you one thing that I've always done with the northern pike, because they can wriggle almost like a snake. They can make themselves impossible to hold. What I do is I reach behind their head and put my thumb on one side, my first finger on the other, and try to grip them by pushing in on the outside of their gills. It kind of paralyzes them. I don't know if it does great harm. I can't tell you. In the old days, they said pick a pike up by putting your hands in their eyes and pick them up, and that will paralyze. Well, that also blinds them, and that isn't about catch and release. But I do this with pike. However, my hand is only so big, and your hand will only be so big unless you're a pro football quarterback or a big basketball player with giant hands. And so you can only pick so big a fish up that way. Once they become bigger, you don't have enough strength in your hand to keep that grip, and they'll break your grip every time. The ultimate answer, I guess, then, is either a net or something that you can cradle the fish in. They have long devices that you can do with northerns and muskies. That's probably your best bet. And then make sure the net is made of rubber or something as opposed to nylon strands, because the nylon will actually, as the weight presses into it or they start wiggling, it's going to rub off their protective antibacterial slime, and it could lead to their death anyway. So it's quite a question. It's quite a problem. But if you understand a little bit better how you can get the fish out of the water and either into your boat or onto land in some way, and then hopefully release them, then in the long run, you'll be a better fisherman. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.